Hey there, educators, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a really foundational science of reading concept today, one that can absolutely transform your early literacy instruction. If you've ever felt totally stuck, just trying to figure out why a bright, highly capable student isn't grasping the words on the page, well, you are in the right place. Today, D is for decoding. Let's unpack exactly what that means, and more importantly, how we can apply it.
So, let's start with a really powerful question. What actually happens when a student can blend sounds perfectly out loud, but then completely freezes when they see a word on a page? Consider a student named Anita. She was eager, she was determined, and she had incredibly strong oral skills. But, as you'll see, that strength was actually masking a pretty massive foundational roadblock.
You see, Anita was fantastic at oral blending. If a teacher said the sounds t out loud, boom, she could easily say mat without missing a beat. But when those exact same sounds were attached to printed letters, Anita froze. She'd become unsure, she'd wait for the teacher to help, or she'd just take a wild guess based on the very first letter she saw.
And this right here illustrates a huge aha moment for so many of us as educators. Blending and decoding are different things. Blending is an oral skill, right? It's turning spoken sounds into spoken words. Decoding, on the other hand, requires connecting print to speech. It's the bridge. Anita could hear the sounds perfectly, but she just didn't know how to navigate the printed code yet.
Okay, so what exactly is decoding? Basically, it means looking at printed letters, connecting them to their sounds, and blending those sounds together to read the word. Students have to actually connect the graphemes they see with their eyes to the phonemes they hear with their ears. And if they haven't been taught that code, well, they simply can't make the connection.
The big takeaway here is that Anita didn't just need more independent reading time or a larger stack of books. Because oral mastery doesn't automatically equal print mastery, Anita needed explicit, direct instruction in how to decode. As teachers, we literally have to slow down our instructional pace so that our students' learning can actually speed up.
So how do we explicitly teach this? Well, we break it all the way down. First, we model how to look at each individual letter. Next, we demonstrate saying each sound. Then, we physically model sliding those sounds together without stopping. And finally, we practice. But, and this is absolutely crucial, we only practice with known, explicitly taught patterns, moving from isolated words right into connected text.
Direct instruction also requires incredible precision from us. We have to listen closely to every single error, because those errors are pure data. If Anita mixed up a short vowel, her teacher reviewed it immediately. If she guessed, she was gently reminded to look all the way through the word. That immediate, targeted feedback, that is the secret sauce.
And with that level of explicit instruction and immediate feedback, the transformation is just beautiful to watch. Anita stopped looking up at the teacher for the answer and started looking right at the word. She realized letters weren't these random obstacles. They were sounds that she could blend. Decoding moved her entirely from dependence straight to confidence.
Section 1. Why this matters. Moving beyond guessing.
We know that relying on guessing, memorizing whole words, or heavily leaning on pictures does not build strong independent readers. Sure, those compensating strategies might get a student through kindergarten, but they fall apart the second pictures disappear and complex vocabulary shows up in later grades. Strong readers need a reliable, rock-solid system to attack unfamiliar text.
Sometimes there's this worry that phonics makes reading sound robotic, right? But it's actually the exact opposite. When students decode accurately and automatically, it frees up their brain's cognitive energy. They aren't struggling to figure out what a word is, so all of that mental energy goes directly toward making meaning. Decoding is what makes true comprehension possible. Section 2. Classroom Connection. Applying the science. Here is your highly actionable checklist for the literacy block. First, provide explicit phonics instruction. Second, constantly model how to sound out words, really showing you're thinking out loud. Third, provide abundant practice with decodable texts so they can actually apply those patterns. And finally, correct errors with care, reminding your kids to read all the way through the word.
Teaching reading requires so much precision. It's a deeply ongoing, active cycle. We assess what they know. We model the new skill. We guide them. We provide practice, and we give corrective feedback. This entire cycle ensures that foundational skills are actually mastered and not just briefly introduced before moving on.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to pause for a quick teacher reflection moment. Think about the kids in your classroom right now. Are any of them maybe masking their decoding gaps with really strong oral blending or a great memory for sight words? Who is the Anita in your room today?
And building on that, how can you slow down and make your phonics instruction just a little bit more explicit to support those learners tomorrow? Where could you add a bit more modeling or maybe tighten up your error corrections so that a missed vowel becomes an immediate, powerful teaching moment?
I want to leave you with this core belief. Decoding helps students unlock words. And once they can unlock words, they can begin to unlock sentences, paragraphs, stories, information, ideas, and endless possibilities. When we teach the code, we are literally empowering them with the keys to everything else. What will your students unlock tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep up the incredible work, and I'll see you next time.